in LA, most of them have a very, very business-oriented feel to them, a very sort of hit factory. Band comes in, makes their hit single with their drum machines and their keyboards and their Fairlights, and then leave, next week. The next band comes in, makes their next hit single, and very sort of office, very bad atmosphere, at least, as far as we were concerned. So basically what happened was that the decision was made to come back here simply because we couldn't get that studio in LA that we really wanted, which was a studio called Conway. And any of the other studios kind of didn't measure up to the studio in terms of facilities and also overall price, since $1 and all that shit. The rates that we get here at Sweet Silence are very, very good. About a third as much as the rates in LA, which means we can spend a little more time here and relax, and not relax in that, but not be under pressure, guys standing, with a calculator saying you have 3 days left, so forth, money-wise. So the decision was made to come back here, and here we are. Yeah, I mean, how much that we learned in the year. Yeah,
taking advantage.
When we came into the studio to record Ride the Lightning, and the difference between when we came into recording Ride the Lightning and now, I mean, it's like everyone really has learned a lot. And, with Fleming sort of, helping get our ideas across down on tape and so forth, and getting the sounds that, that we're trying to get. Plus, we did the session at the record plant in, for the B-side of Creeping Death, but we also worked along with Mark Whitaker, which also sort of, so it's basically like the more you're in the studio, the more you learn. And, so I mean, this is working really well. Battery, not that kind of battery. Battering ram, battery, aggression, sort of, like attacking. I don't know, it's just a very, I guess, English word. But basically that's opening song. I think it's about the ultimate. It's like Fight Fire was, at the time of Ride the Lightning, pretty much the ultimate thrash song in terms of playing and songwriting. I think Battery's like one step beyond that. It's sort of just a lot of energy and a lot of aggression. But at the same time, there's like the odd melody thrown in on the guitar, and there's the vocal melody. Seems to be quite happening for that.
In the States, the police have a title for when they arrest someone for beating someone else up. They call it assault and battery.
Battery, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's also
battery.
Has something to do with.
You know the word battering ram? You know what that means?
Can you write it down? I wouldn't know that.
It just means I don't know, something in the vicinity of hurting people.
Well, no, a battering ram is.
Yeah, battering ram is you have a bunch of people, a big.
Like a big log or something.
Yeah, and you batter in a door. And you have 3 or 4 people who go into a door.
Battery is to pummel, to beat something into submission.
It's a song about a lot of getting aggressions out and sort of. I mean, I think it's also a bit connected to the music in the sense that it's sort of also what happens on stage. We just get a lot of aggressions and sort of push it all out, as much as you can.
Also, like back home, if you go and see a heavy metal show, a thrash band or something, or maybe even a good punk band or whatever, there's that kind of a situation set up to see when you read the lyrics that you get people on stage creating this sound, creating this energy, and the audience taking that and producing this kind of whirlwind on the floor, which is kind of like a battery, just people just flailing around, throwing their bodies into the air, and generally, doing as much harm to each other.
Sing along?
I know.
We're never really too big on sing along.
But I think it's about the perfect opener. Plus, I think it's part about the ultimate and sort of, whatever you want to call it, thrash or speed, because I think it's got sort of all the ingredients that you want to put into a song like that, and also sort of the playing on it. It's really well. On side one is Master of Puppets, the Master of Puppets, which is the title track, and which is the first song that has an 8 in front of it, which means that we're up around 8.5 minutes or something like that. Lyric-wise, it's a song about, Master of Puppets. You know what that means? Puppets. Masters, the guy who, it's basically, there are 2 songs on the album that tie into that subject, which, is the title of the album, and also sort of that subject, which is Master of Puppets and Disposable Heroes, which is break it down. It's just basically how about people or a thing run other people, rule other people. Everyone thinks they're so free and all this shit, but basically how about a few people run a whole bunch of other people and sort of tell them, just sort of operate the fucking.
It's a song about some kind of.
And basically, the master in this song, in the song "Master of Puppets," is drugs, and whether you want it to be an anti-statement or, I don't think. It's not really a huge statement behind it saying, it's against drugs or for drugs. This is a song about someone being addicted.
What happens?
It's someone being run by drugs, basically, and how the drugs, rule and run this person, and how the drugs are basically this person's master.
It's just a comment on the kind of things that happen to people. Okay, I mean, certain people can take drugs. They can control what they take. Other people become controlled by what they take. Okay, this is a comment on the kind of people that become controlled rather than control.
Okay.
It's not a yes or no thing.
Well, I think that one of the things that we've really succeeded on, I think, on these songs, doing really well, is that the songs are. Like I told, there's about 27 minutes a side. You have 4 songs on each side, which means that, as you can understand, the songs are quite long. Master of Puppets is, there are 3 or 4 songs on this album that are like 8 minutes long. But I think what we've succeeded on doing, and, especially because of the way that we approach the songs when we write them and arrange them, is that you have songs that it doesn't matter what the number says on how long the song is, whether it says 6 minutes or 8 minutes, how long it. If the song flows when you listen to it, it could be 6 minutes or 12 minutes. I don't think that matters. I mean, these are just numbers that printed on record sleeve. But I think that we've succeeded on writing songs that sort of work through the whole song, and where there's not really a point where you say, "Gee, this seems a bit long," or "Gee, now they're repeating that again," or whatever. I think that also there are some bands that write, say, an 8-minute song where you have 27 different things that happen over 8 minutes. Or they do a riff, then another riff, then another riff, then another riff, and just keep on going, and you can't understand anything that's going on or remember any of it. I think in the long songs that we do, and I think one of the reasons they work, is because we sort of keep going back to, we never sort of forget what's been before, in terms of that we have a tendency, especially towards the end of the song, to go back to sort of where we came from. So the song works, as a whole, and try and put, for instance, Master of Puppets has, a part in the middle that sort of, then it slows down and sort of, builds up, and there's a lot of different moods it goes through, and I think, a lot of these songs really work well that way. I think we'd have a lot of problems if we had songs that were that long that didn't work.
Yeah.
But I think we've sort of managed. And it's interesting, too, because on the last album, when we came in the studio, a lot of the songs were a lot longer than they actually are on the album. There was a lot of cuts made in the song. We said, well, let's take this part out. But on this album, so far, there's not been one cut made, taking, a verse out or taking, a bridge out or anything. All the songs are as long now as they were when we wrote them, which is even more proves that they sort of work. We've listened to these songs every day for 4 months, and there's still not passages where we say this seems to be a bit too long or whatever.